Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to clear something up. A few years ago, with PancakeBot going, if you Googled Miguel Valenzuela and went to Google Images, 2 images would come up. Now, I know there's a lot of similarities here, but let me clarify a couple of things. This is Miguel Valenzuela, Australian bodybuilder and entrepreneur and traveler. Talk to him about bodybuilding, being an entrepreneur, and getting shredded. This is Miguel Valenzuela, creator of PancakeBot. Talk to me about engineering, innovation, printing food, burritos, and shredding cheese. Now that we've got that cleared up, in 2010, we left sunny San Diego, California, to go move to wonderful Norway for the weather. We moved over there in October, and after 2 weeks, we were surrounded by 1 meter of snow, which is 3.28 feet, I believe, for those of you who haven't learned the metric system. And I was stir crazy inside of this place, and it was so cold that even the snow people had to have a fireplace for themselves. I was trying to get used to the weather there, getting used to the culture, and I was sitting down at the dinner table when my daughter Lily came up to me and said,
"Papa, what are you doing?"
Now, I told myself, when my daughter's asking me what I'm going to do or what I'm doing, that I would tell them. And at that time, I was reading Make Magazine, Volume 2, an article written by Bob Parks called Blockheads, Lego, the Ultimate Prototyping Tool. So I turned to Lily and said, I'm reading about a guy named Adrian Marshall who created a pancake stamping machine out of Legos. Lily's eyes got really big, and then she turned to her sister Maya and said,
"Papa's gonna build a pancake machine out of Legos! Yay!"
Thank you, girl. Maya did a little dance, and thus PancakeBot was born. And I was faced with a choice here. Do I listen to this message? Do I hear this creative little spark of genius from such a young girl to be able to actually do something? And I told myself subconsciously when the kids were born that I would help these girls with their ideas no matter how crazy they were. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and do this PancakeBot thing, or this pancake robot that she wanted. And so there was an iterative process, of course, but luckily enough, a friend of mine named Mark Dumas, whose father actually was the head of JPL for 13 years, while his father explored outer space, Mark Dumas showed me how to explore inner space. Before I left to Norway, he gave me boxes and boxes full of Legos. And with those Legos, I was able to create the first iterations of PancakeBot. Now, in order to get the creative process going, I had to do what every other Norwegian would do in the snow, and that's build snow sculptures, trying to inspire my girls to look at snow and pie and mathematics in a different way. And so, this is one of the prototypes that's first started on February 9th, 2011.
All right, here's our pancake CNC. We have a y-axis up here on top, and our x-axis is down here on the bottom. We have this bridge right here that we put together out of Legos, and some straight gears right here to allow it to move. And we're using smooth tiles right here to allow it to slide back and forth on this side.
So right there, I was describing what to do with the Legos. And every time that I would hit a brick wall, I would go back to building snow sculptures for the girls. And then once I got that creative process out and got back and being creative again, I would do another Lego iteration. And I kept building and changing those until I hit another brick wall, another snow sculpture. And then I ran into a problem and I said, oh my gosh, I only have 3 motors because I can't afford to buy another Lego set and I have to set constraints as an engineer. And so what I decided to do is just build it with what I have, because that's where creativity comes from, doing what you can with what you have. And then I hit another brick wall, so I built another snow sculpture. And another one. Finally, we got to this point where we had a nice ketchup bottle that dispensed pancake batter. And then I needed to put them all together, and of course, built one more snow sculpture. And then I finally perfected it, the Mickey Mouse pancake with a machine. The perfect roundness, the perfect veers, everything. But I didn't know what to do at this point. So what I did, what every reasonable person would do, I put it on YouTube. And this is the video that changed everything for us.
Can you just push the button to make some pancakes? Right here. You see it right there.
To see the joy in a 1-year-old to have a machine make pancakes, for me was a real accomplishment. One of the keys of being able to build a robot is the ability to create the same thing twice. And 2 Mickey Mouse pancakes is always better than 1. And of course, Lily, being the one that inspired it, there she was building her pancake truck, which was the most difficult pancake to flip, if you ask me. There we go. So after the success of putting this video online, I woke up the next morning to 10,000 hits on YouTube, and I had an anxiety attack. I looked at my Twitter account, and an idol of mine named Jerry Ellsworth from the Maker Movement had tweeted about a pancake robot making machine made out of Legos, the perfect combination to inspire kids. And next thing you know, we had 50,000 hits, and I was so afraid because all of a sudden, my heroes, the people that I looked up to, were saying, hey, look what Miguel did. And a little bit of me had to die that day. A little bit of that successful failure that had been and felt like all my life. So then we started taking PancakeBot all over the world to the New York Maker Fair, where kids would wait for 10 minutes to have one little dollar-sized pancake. And then, little by little, I started changing the patterns and learning how to program and making more and more complex designs. And in January of 2013, after traveling around for 2 years, getting in debt, and not knowing what else to do with this, I decided to give up. You see, because what happened is everybody that I talked to about this Lego pancake just kind of laughed. Oh my God, it's so funny. Legos, robots, and pancakes, oh my. And nobody took it seriously. Nobody could see past the Lego. So I did everything any reasonable person would do, and I gave up. Until I learned about the art of giving up and learned that I had to accept the way it was. And then on January of 2013, I got a tweet, a message from Dale Dougherty. He had published this on Make Magazine. If there were a category for kid magnet technology, PancakeBot would win, spatulas down. And I said, my gosh, the CEO of Make magazine has talked about my robot. What can we do with this? And so I talked to my wife, my patient wife, who while I was playing with Legos and building sculptures was changing diapers, making food, and washing clothes, and supported me through this whole thing because this was a family project. I said, what do I do? And she says, give it one more shot. And so I called my friend, John Stravitz, my best friend that I lived with when I was younger. And I said, hey, help me out here. And he gave me some money for a prototype. And we came up with this. Now, when we made this, the first one wasn't very successful, actually. It was pretty sad that the pancakes results were just not coming out. I had applied for the Bay Area Maker Faire in 2014. This was what was happening 3 weeks before the show. And then I went back to the original Lego version and learned about it and said, maybe we'll do this thing with air. Came up with a new idea and worked with a couple of engineers, Jan Dede Berknes from Kongsberg, Norway, and a friend of mine named Dan Royer from marginallyclever.com, teamed together and they helped me take it to the next level. And we finally made an Eiffel Tower pancake that to me was a symbol of strength and the precision of what PancakeBot could do. And so I made more Eiffel Tower pancakes. And then I asked my wife, Rooney, 2 weeks before the fair, what do we do with this now that we have a robot that can draw pancakes? Well, the smart lady said, make art with it. So I said, okay, I love animation. Why don't we do something really cool? And so we created this animation right here. This is a screenshot of it, which is a running horse running through the desert with a bacon fence and an egg sunrise. I call it Breakfast Gallop. After the Bay Area Maker Faire in 2014, we had this great prototype running, and we went home and I was relieved and everybody said, this is an amazing thing. Then I got a funny invitation, a funny email from somebody that said they were from this big White House in Washington, D.C. And I said, who are you and why are you trolling me? And next thing you know, this guy's asking us to come to his house and fill it with the smell of pancakes. So I said, you know what? I will go as long as my family gets to go with me because this is a family project. These little girls inspired it, and my wife helped me out. So you invite all of us, and we will go make pancakes next to the Rose Garden for you. And that's what we did. And finally, there was a little bit of hope. PancakeBot had taken us from a Lego creation to an acrylic creation, brought together by an idea that was sparked by a child's imagination, to adventures all over the world, from meeting different celebrities and meeting more hope. We made MC Escher tessellation pancakes for students at the Bridges Math Conference in Finland to show them that you can use PancakeBot not just for eating, but for math and program these things. And then we met other people who also inspired people. And we made pancake faces, a face of him. And we went back home and we relaxed back to Norway. And I started working on other projects, working on a treehouse for my kids. And I realized one day when I was looking at this treehouse after this plum tree had blossomed that all these ideas that my kids had were like flowers from this treehouse. They blossomed. Some of these turn into seeds and they fall to the ground. If they fall on fertile soil, then they'll grow into bigger things. Others get taken away. So my job as a father to these girls was to help them keep their creativity and keep it going. And so the tips that I have for you to teach kids or even adults for creativity and to capture these ideas is to force your brain to make connections because context is key. You see, this red brick right here that we started off with this Lego is a red brick. But all of a sudden, with your imagination, it turns into a flower. And this next red brick turns into an apple. But you see, this red apple will always be a red apple. So, one of the secrets to being creative, and Pablo Picasso said this, is that we're all artists. And the problem is how to remain an artist and how to be creative and keep that as you're growing older. And how do we keep being creative? I'll tell you this. You don't start them off with digital bricks. You start them off with real bricks. You don't start them off with laser cutters. You start them off with hand tools. You don't start them off with 3D modeling and 3D printing. You start them off with clay. And guess what? You don't start them off with PancakeBot. You start them off with ketchup bottles filled with pancake batter. Because this is what kids are going to do. They're going to use their hands, and they're going to harness that creativity from their hands. And when we come to the end where we've looked at these beautiful ideas that have sprouted and some of these that have fallen to the ground, we have to ask ourselves, where are these little girls that inspired these ideas? And they're right here. And a lot of times, we do things for them when they're like this when they're young. But we also do things for the little person, the little Miguel that's inside of me, and that little person that's inside of you. And that's how we keep moving forward with creativity. Thank you very much. Printed pancakes, anyone?